Well, we've been talking about it all hour, but presidential candidate Bernie Sanders canceling events until further notice after undergoing a procedure for an artery blockage. Let's get to John Harwood. John, with the latest on what his health situation actually is right now and what the ripple effect of this on the campaign might be.
Kelly, we don't have any more detail on Bernie Sanders' condition. We don't know if this is a minor blip that will keep him off the campaign trail for a few days and then he'll be back to normal, or whether this is a more serious health setback. But Bernie Sanders is somebody who has had a fairly fixed position in the race. He's held a significant base of support that he had from 2016, but he's not been moving in the race the way, say, somebody like Elizabeth Warren has. He did report a very impressive $25 million fundraising haul in the third quarter. We'll just now wait to see whether or not he's going to spend that money anytime soon. He's pulled down some of his ads that were already up in Iowa.
John, is it too soon to speculate that he's leaving the campaign trail, and that if so, given what's happened with Joe Biden the last few weeks on the Ukraine issue, that Elizabeth Warren becomes the front runner?
Well, I think Elizabeth Warren had been moving, Kelly, toward becoming the front runner already. There was a national poll out today that showed her at 28, Joe Biden at 25. She's been the one who's shown consistent progress through the course of the year. Bernie hasn't moved much, and Biden's been going down. So, yes, I think she's in a strong position. And the more people see Bernie Sanders as not being able to compete for the long haul in this race, his supporters and hers overlap. And so it is logical that she would gain support from that.
Right. And as CNBC has reported, you've got Democratic donors in Silicon Valley looking to back her, despite all the big tech calls for a breakup and so forth. What's interesting to me, and you spoke with Andrew Yang about this, and he criticizes some of her proposals, including the wealth tax. What is his argument against that he thinks resonates with the voting base they are both vying for right now?
Well, he's supporting a value-added tax to pay for his so-called freedom dividend. He's not against, in principle, the idea of wealth tax, but he thinks it's a very impractical thing. Let's take a listen.
I think the wealth tax is an idea and spirit that makes sense given the wealth distribution, but in practice, it would have massive implementation problems. There would be capital flight. Wealthy people would renounce their citizenship. And the bigger problem isn't even the money, it's the annual inventorying of their assets. That the truly wealthy in this country have zero interest in submitting to an annual audit of all of their assets. So you would have massive compliance problems. And to me, there are better ways to make this economy fair, though I understand the spirit of it and the intent of it, but I agree that it would be somewhere between problematic and a disaster in practice.
Now, of course, that critique from Andrew Yang applies to Bernie Sanders' wealth tax as well as Elizabeth Warren's. Andrew Yang is very unlikely to become the Democratic nominee, but he's been a resilient figure in the race. He'll be on that debate stage in October, and I do think, Kelly, that the practicality of that debate wealth tax, is going to be an increasing point of differentiation between Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and other candidates in the field.
And what, real quickly, John, do you think accounts for Yang's durability here?
Andrew Yang is a plain-spoken, normal-seeming guy who makes very intelligent arguments about what is wrong with contemporary capitalism, namely that it serves capital better than it serves people. No longer do big business success does it depend on large numbers of employees. You can have successful businesses with very few people, and that the 21st century capitalism has to adapt to a situation that in which vast segments of the American population are not benefiting. Try to preserve what's good about capitalism, fix what isn't working right.
Yeah, no, he seems to have a lot of popularity with younger people as well. So our takeaway from all of today's events, John, in terms of that is that Elizabeth Warren has probably solidified her position as the front runner. And, I guess it's up to Wall Street to speculate on what they think that means.
Absolutely. Look, I think if you look at the trajectory of the race, the clarity of her message, the fact that she is gaining strength, she's in a good position in the race. Joe Biden still has significant assets, and he will be heard from more over the next several weeks, certainly on the debate stage in October. But you've got to look at Elizabeth Warren now and say this is not an unlikely event, the idea that she could become the nominee. And so what that means for Wall Street, what that means for business, what that means for average people, everybody should take an account of all of that.
Okay, John, appreciate it. very
You bet.
much. John Harwood today.